In this episode of the podcast, we spoke to Beau Tauwhara. Beau is a friend of mine here in Bali. He's recently moved and he's setting up a media company that aims specifically to companies requiring social media content. This is obviously a growing trend and growing need in the photography and videography sector. And so it was really interesting to break down why he thought that was needed here, how he's going to succeed, and how his network and his charismatic skills can get him to where he wants to get to. Enjoy. Can you say welcome to the podcast in Bahasa?
No, that's too much.
Well, welcome to the Mood Podcast, mate. It's good for you to be here.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you for having me.
Here's a beer.
Cheers, brother.
So tell us who the fuck you are, why you're here, what's your story?
So my name is Beau Tauwhara. I am from Sydney, Australia, born and bred, and I recently moved out to Bali. I've been a photographer for over 10 years. I started with stills initially, and I only pivoted at the start of this year, actually. So commercially, I've been doing video for a year now, which has been amazing. It's changed. It's not only changed everything for me, but it's really like ignited a new fire within the creative world for me. You know, I look at photos now. I appreciate photos a lot more now because it's not just what I do anymore. But being a hybrid shooter commercially for me is amazing because you know how dominant video is at the moment, and I imagine ongoing it's going to be like that. So being a hybrid shooter, it really works well for me. You know, if someone hires me for a photo shoot, I'll do video on the shoot too. Without them knowing, then I'll usually upsell the video. So it works well.
Nice.
It's a good little hustle you can have, and vice versa too. If they want me for video, I shoot photo on there and just add that as like an add-on package. Do you want these photos? And they're like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
So
what's your backstory? How did you actually, pick up a camera? What was the catch?
So I started, I don't know what year it was. It was a long time ago. I started shooting my ex. She was she is a fashion stylist. So
Yep.
celebrity stylist back in Australia. And I started shooting her, like, she had a blog at the time. So I started shooting like her fashion street portraits, just all natural light stuff.
Yeah.
Started shooting those. I was like, had a point and shoot camera, little crap Sony thing, white thing, looked nice at the time. Yeah, I started shooting her for that. And I was like, oh, pretty decent at it. Kept doing that. She was loving the content and stuff like that, but it's not exactly what I loved shooting. So we took a trip to New York, just a pleasure trip. Went there. New York's one of my favorite cities in the world. I love big cities.
Yeah.
I love the hustle and bustle. I love it loud. I love the energy of the cities. So I've been in New York many times. So on this particular trip, I was just like, okay, I'm going to start shooting some cityscape scenes. So I went over to like Brooklyn side of the bridge, and I started shooting Manhattan from the other side. And I was like playing around with long exposures, had no idea what I was doing. But like as soon as I took like it was literally my first long exposure. It came out so epic. I was just like, holy shit, this is what I want to do. Like, this is it. Then I was in my element from then. I was just like running around for an hour. Still had no idea what I was doing. No idea what aperture was, blah, blah, blah. ISO, I was just playing around with it and they were still coming out nice. So from there on, I started shooting Sydney city then. So I do a lot of landscape, I do a lot of cityscape and travel stuff, but I started shooting Sydney city, but I was doing it a little bit differently, and it was a lot, I guess Instagram was a lot newer back then, so there was no algorithms around. It was easier to grow then. So I started creating shots, different angles of Sydney, different edits of Sydney, like really moody. My edits were really moody, but still colourful. Like people were loving them. Then I was doing a lot of underground stuff, which was very illegal. But what
do you mean?
You'd get underneath Sydney into the train tunnels.
Literally underground. Okay.
Yeah. So you're in the train tunnels. And the shots down there, like obviously no one sees those. A lot of the graffiti writers would go down there, but it was never really, and some young kids would go down there and shoot it, but they weren't shooting it, I thought anyway, the way I was shooting it. So some of those shoots were coming out, and they're like, people were seeing those of Sydney and they're like, what the hell are these, you know? Then at the time, urbex was massive, you know, urban exploration was massive at the time. So I was doing a lot of that too, rooftops and stuff, all around the world and in Sydney. Then I guess naturally from there, because Instagram was so newish, even though it was years old, I was growing quite easily on Instagram.
Yep.
And therefore growing a following online, brands started reaching out slowly. I kept to my, you know, my niche and my style the whole way through, and I kept doing that. Then it pretty much turned into work, a lot of work. So
what was the transition there between just shooting on your own and then people giving you money for it?
It would have been, I'd say once I started shooting like cityscape stuff, it would have been within a year in there, where brands will start reaching out and started saying, oh, you know, we want to work with you, we want to do this, blah, blah, blah. And from there, just, I guess it was a lot easier then, even just like the brand, when brands reaching out now I feel like it's a lot harder now, where you don't see them.
Competition, I guess.
More competition, yeah. More saturated, of course. From there, I guess, about a year onwards, work started coming in. But I wasn't doing that full time either. I'm also a builder carpenter by trade. So as a young pup, I did an apprenticeship in Sydney building, but I still kept that. I never fully dived into the freelance photography straight away, or I just never did. In Sydney, I never did. I always kept it as my side thing. So I'd work for myself too as a builder carpenter, and I'd also do that when the jobs come in. So I wasn't really pursuing it full time, but I would get 2 wages too. So I always saw it as you're getting 2 wages, and I know what it's like. I guess even when you're working for yourself as a builder, you know, there's ups and downs. So I was like, I'm not going to fully dive into that side of it. Then I know there's going to be a lot of low periods. So I just kept them going, and they were both working, and they worked for the 10 years easily. I'll just work when a job comes in. Because I work for myself as a builder, I could just not push it to the side. I could take time off when I needed to, if I needed to travel overseas, needed to go on a tourism trip or whatnot. I'd just put that on pause, and I could just take off and do the photography. So it really worked well for me, not being actually tied into it. Then from there, I just kept going with it, and I never, over the whole time, it's probably about 11 years all up I've been shooting for. I never fully dived into the freelance photography, but that's that whole story there. The whole reason why I'm in Bali now is to do the opposite of that. Obviously, I put the tools down, I packed up everything back home, and because Instagram's so hard now, they just choose what content's going to go out, and it's just like pretty much luck now. You can put out amazing content and just you can go nowhere. Everyone knows that. Yep. So I was like, I had a plan. My plan was to always live in Southeast Asia. And originally it was going to be Thailand. I was going to set up with a mate in Thailand, in Bangkok, and have a production company. Pretty much what I do already, just for hotels and all kinds of businesses, and do that out of Bangkok because it's quite a big city, and I love Thailand. So that was the plan before this. But my friend, he said he's moving his family back to America. And when he told me that, it was always Bali or Thailand for me to set up. That was always my dream. But I always got comfortable back home too. You know, you can just be in the rat race. Oh, I got 2 wages coming in, earning good money, great city, great country, whatever. And when he told me that, I did a recent trip out to Thailand in February, when after everything started opening up and Australia locked us in for so long. As soon as they let us out, or were allowed to go, I went to Thailand for 6 weeks. So I went over there just to feel it out, to feel if I still feel the same about it, and absolutely adore Thailand. It's my favorite country in Southeast Asia, but I love Southeast Asia as a whole. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'm going to make it happen. So I met up with my friend there, and he's like, let's do it. Anyways, fast forward, that fell through. I could have done it in Bangkok, but I always had Bali Bali was always a dream too, because I have quite a big network here. So it made sense for me to just try it here. So yeah, I canned that idea of going to Bangkok, and I was like, okay, I've got 6 weeks back home. I was like 6 weeks countdown. I know one of my friends was opening up one of the new gyms here, and I know it's going to be like, well, it is a hype box already. I know it's going to be a massive gym. So I was like, I know no one's doing the content there. I've got to get over there as soon as possible and get in. So that was my plan. I just started mapping stuff out back home. Literally a piece of paper, started writing out potential ideas, potential work, what I could do over there. I mean, I do this stuff online, yes, but it doesn't come in often. That's the thing. So I wanted something more regular, and I wanted something on ground rather than waiting for a company to reach out, or you're reaching out to a company to do something overseas. So yeah, I wrote a plan. It was literally 6 weeks, and I told him I'm coming over. He was probably like, whatever, because everyone says that they're coming over here, or I want to live here. You get back home and you're stuck. I was like 6 weeks, 5 weeks, and I was just sending him a message 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 1 week, then boom, I popped up, and I was like, let me shoot for you. Got to do what let me do what I got to do. And he's like, all right, sweet. We could do it for like contra deal where you can have the membership, because the memberships are quite expensive there. So I was like, okay, sweet, let me shoot for you. He loved what I'm doing, and now I'm still doing the contra stuff until I get my kitas, which is on the 27th, so in a couple of weeks from now. Which I plan to set up a company. On my map that I wrote out, it was to set up a media company here, essentially doing what I do already, but not relying on Instagram to do it. Okay, I'll have to rely on my portfolio, because that's what's going to win the work, of course. But yeah, setting up a website for business, which will be a production company, which is purely video and photo media for social media, because that's all I do now.
Reels.
That's all I do. I do reels, I do personal photos, blah, blah, blah. Website, sometimes people want website, but it's sort of a last resort too. So as I go back to like video being very dominant, that was what caught my eye a lot. And I was just like, okay, I've been doing this for years already, like as photo, and now I've been doing it with video and photo for a year now. I was like, let's try and make it a company, then I can push. And my goal is to have a team of Indonesian only, shooters, editors, and try and build out something pretty decent here. I know there's a lot of companies here that are making shitloads of money. You see all these pool clubs, they're charging similar prices to Australia. So it's not like they don't have money. Then a lot of them, I've noticed too, even just with my own research, I've noticed they're not putting out, like, some of the big ones are putting out great content, but a lot of these other ones are not. You don't see much. So the reason why I went that way too is like, why don't you just, because I used to do a lot of travel pre-pandemic, travel photography, and everyone's like, oh, why don't you just do that? I want to be a travel photographer, but it doesn't come in often. It's like, yes, it's a dream job. Yes, there's big hours and a lot involved in it, but Bali is very saturated with travel photographers. It's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing, but I saw that a lot of people are doing that thing, and I didn't want to go that way. And I was like, why don't I just do what I've been doing for X,
If you enjoy it and you're good at it.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, leverage those skills.
That's right, yeah. So I was
in
like,
a niche.
Yeah, stick to your niche. And, everyone's on there. Everyone's online. They're doing their travel stuff. They're selling the presets and stuff like that. And I was going to go down that avenue years ago, but I never went that way. So I was like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do something completely new. When something's working for me, I'm going to keep going with it and try and build it even bigger.
If you need video editor,
here we go.
Denny.
Yes.
She's always on the lookout for extra work.
That's the
first,
first.
I can't give.
That's actually the first thing I will be looking at, because editing's like videos. As she would know, video editing takes up a lot of time, and it's endless. But it's endless because depending how creative you want to be with it, But then there's just so many things. So that would be my first point of call once I launch the company. Is once I launch it and once it's rolling and once I know I've got enough work that I can't handle, I'll bring on a part-time editor first, then keep building from there. Then try and make it happen. Really, I mean, it's happening already, but try and make it happen properly. So
Yeah. And do you, with that company, are you going to help with social media strategy? Or are you literally going to just produce the content?
Purely production.
Yeah.
I don't want to be diving into that. I see a lot of media companies or production companies doing it's a one-stop shop for everything. I don't want that. I just want to stick to purely what I can do, and I feel like I can do it decent, and that's my target. It's just saying, yes, we'll create the media for you, and you can use it however you want. You know.
So with your own stuff and your own social media pages, is that are you just gonna kind of let that slip and transit into the more business side of?
Yeah, that's right. So like,
'cause you've already got a good following, 150,000 followers or whatever you've got.
It was that. It's
over 100,000.
Over 100,000.
You've got a lot of people there who.
Which I purely because of algorithms, I purely use Instagram as my first point of call for website style. When companies look at Instagram straight away, I believe.
A portfolio,
over your website. Then they might go to website later. So my website's very basic, but it's got everything in there that I can do and then I've done, and all the people I've worked with. So I treat Instagram purely as a website right now. But to be honest, I haven't even had time to put out anything because I've been so busy here, just like editing projects back home, editing, especially video editing, especially when you're new to it. It like takes a shitload of time because you're learning along the way.
What software do you use?
I use Premiere.
Okay.
Premiere at the moment, which was all quite new to me at the start, but now it's flowing a lot better now. But as I said, it's never ending because like when you start going into effects and After Effects, you just keep learning, which is like, I love that though. I love it. Anything I get stuck on, I'm just like, okay, what can I do with that? Boom, YouTube. You learn along the way, add to it. So workflow from like at this part, time of the year compared to in the middle of the year is much faster now. But as I said, it's opened up a whole new world of passion for me. It's just like, it's crazy video. Like I've always dabbled in video, but never took it seriously. And I've had mates online from Sydney, like, big photographers. They like videographers too. And they're like, man, you should just give it a go. And I probably sat on it for about three, close to 4 years. And I just kept saying, I'll do it. But I never did it. Then I was just like, fuck this. I'm going to go for it. So,
and you're loving it.
I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I love
just learning a new skill.
Yeah, it's just and it's never ending too. Yeah. Photography is the same too. You any industry you're always learning, but
you hope you want to always be learning. I guess a lot of people think they know it all, right, and they don't continue to evolve or progress. But that's cool to hear. I mean, I don't know much about the video world. Essentially, I obviously know the basics. I know how hard and time consuming editing is. Yeah, and full respect for the likes of Dinny and you and people that edit their own work as well. Like, I want to be able to. It's just I feel like I have better things to do with my time. But I know deep down, like, it'll be really good to be able to do it efficiently. Like to have that workflow nice and. So
I'm so keen.
But it just takes a long time to even learn that, right?
Yeah, that's right. Well, I got mates that like some. I do like festivals too, which are international, like big festivals in Vegas annually, which is called EDC. There's like 200,000 people for these festivals. So actually this year was my first year on the team, and I was assigned to doing long exposure is my jam, which I've done for many years. So I was assigned to, because there's a lot of fireworks and it's a lot of sensory overload happening over there. Massive festival, insane. I've actually been to it twice as a customer, and it was pretty incredible. So the media team there, which is pretty it's huge. The media team's insane. You see editors, you see like run and gun shooters, you see guys with red cameras, you see TV media all running around, and it's just in this massive hub. And that's when I did that in I think it was in April this year. It was just like, there was a big eye opener. Like, not only just seeing like all the creative, because these are like some of the best creatives in the world, just being, it's like an Avengers team being put into this team to go and create insane live content too, by the way. So you're shooting for about 12 hours 12 hours, you get your breaks and whatnot in between, but you're literally out there, you get your shots, you'll have a list of, or they'll give you a list of what they want you doing, not like specific lists, but like where to be for certain times. Then you go and do your thing, and everyone just out there, they'll grab their cameras, back, unload, push them out, quick edits, push them out to the social media team, which push it out all live, which was...
What do you mean all live?
So they're always just pushing it out. So because the festival is a 3-day festival, they're pushing it, they're updating socials, they're updating pretty much all the socials.
Well, what's the time frame between you getting the footage, doing the edit, sending it to the social media team, and it being uploaded?
Time frame, say I would go and shoot, say I'd do a 2 a.m. shoot, there's going to be a fireworks show. I'd be out there, I'd shoot for about 40 minutes to an hour, depending on what I'm getting. Straight back in there, you'd do pretty quick. You'd obviously save your stuff first. You'd load it onto a hard drive or whatever. Then you would select what you want first. Like you do your selects, you choose what you think is good, give them a quick edit, however long that takes, another 30 minutes. Then you offload it again. Then they can have them up. If they like it, they can have them up straight away, pretty much. So they're just always uploading because the festival's so big. And
so you're talking like an hour.
Yeah.
Between kind of finishing the shots and
around there, hour and a half.
That's insane.
Yeah, but they're not your final
team?
shots either. The team is massive. There's probably about, I think there would have been around 150 people on the team, or around there, all up.
Jesus. And this is, you said the EDC?
It's called EDC. Yeah.
That wasn't the one where they had the shooting, was it?
No.
In Vegas. Oh,
no.
Okay.
So yeah, that was a great experience. But just the scene, it was more. Yes, it was like I always appreciate any job that I do get, because it's like coming from a construction site to traveling the world, shooting tourism jobs, doing these festivals. Yes, it's amazing. I never take it for granted, but like just seeing people in their element, like you'll see these young editors or video guys and editors, just some of the stuff you'd turn around and everyone like hypes each other up too. It's not like, he's shit or he's good, blah, blah, blah. It's just like, man, that was like, people just, randoms will come up to you and just like, that was fucking dope. Like shit like that. So it was a really good environment to be in, but just seeing people just doing their thing, and it really like, it gives just a lot of motivation, just to produce. Then like they'll come around, they'll see your long exposure shots, your finish shots at the end. They're just like, fuck yeah, let's go, Just people just doing their thing, but being really, really good at it. So from there onwards, I was like, yeah, it was inspirational. So I was like, damn, I want to be getting to this like level of what these video guys are doing. Because I was doing time lapse and I was doing long exposure. And yes, I've been doing that for a while. But I was like, okay, I'm moving into the video world now. I want to be doing what these guys are doing. So from there onwards, I was just like always pushing, trying to learn as you go, But I'm a one-man shop too. So I'll shoot. If I'm on a shoot, I'll be doing the drone, I'll be doing the video, I'll be doing the photo, I'll be doing everything. So I have the full setup, and I'll just be grabbing cameras, grabbing drones, getting all the angles. I love it though. Like I froth on it. Yeah, I'm just like, everyone just sees
beats
me.
construction.
Yeah, beats it hard. But
and do you get to keep that content?
No, with the festival, you mean?
Yeah.
No,
it's all
not
theirs.
at all.
But you do final edits.
You do final edits,
okay,
yeah.
So you do the live edits,
yep.
And then you go back the next day or something.
Then you do your Photoshop edits,
okay.
then you do your proper edits. But it was good because like at the end of the festival, which is such a big relief, you go party this is like Monday morning, 7 o'clock now. The festival's finishing because it's like dusk to dawn, by the way. So you're pretty fucked. So like obviously you're tired as. But then once it's all finished, everyone just goes and has a drink after it. But they put up a screen showing everyone's shots. Like this was a photo screen, and some of the shots that were coming out, I was just like, I don't know. It was like, that was like a pinch me moment, because I was like, what am I doing here? But then you just see the stuff come up and you're just like, holy shit, these people are the real deal. It's just like, they didn't just, get anyone in just to shoot whatever.
Yeah.
They're there for a reason.
Selected
and I was just like, holy shit. And again, it was another reason why I was very grateful to be a part of it, because I was just like, I saw my stuff come up and, I was like, damn.
Did you think, oh God, my stuff isn't as good as the other guy's stuff? Or do you
I thought I was way out of my element.
Yeah.
Not necessarily with the content, with the process, because the process there's certain ways you had to have your Lightroom set up. There was preview screens that I'd never seen in Lightroom before. I was like, what am I doing here again? But then like everyone's into it. As soon as you walk in there like 6 o'clock at night, they're straight into it. Everyone's willing to help you, but everyone's obviously very busy too. So I thought I was way out of my element, but that was just, I guess that's natural to feel like that on the first day. It's something, new. So I thought I was way out of my element, but coming into the second day, I was just like found my groove. Everyone, get your flow on. Then I was like, okay, I know what's on here, boom, I'm out. Shooting, offload, edit, boom. Yeah, it was really good experience.
So your kind of happy place is, I guess, working with companies essentially. There's not much you're going to do really for yourself or with individuals, say, or...
Well, I do a lot of that too,
to
be honest. That always naturally comes in because like people see your work online, or if they see you working with a company, they're like, okay, I want to get certain shots or whatever. So I do get a lot of those jobs, and they come in quite often too. Like a recent example was like I did a waterfall. I just went on an adventure shoot. I usually try and do, because I train a lot during the week, and Thursdays is typically my rest day. Well, it is my rest day. So I usually try and do an adventure.
Train means workout for those people who don't understand the lingo.
See that? So, I train a lot. I've done CrossFit for like 11 years too, so a long time. We did it competitively sometimes, so I do quite an advanced program, which I love. That really gives me a high, just like photography. So rest days are the Thursday, and I usually try and do an adventure of some sort around Bali, whether it's a waterfall, sunrise drone shots or whatever. And I was on a shoot. I went to a waterfall one morning with my friend, and there was actually a wedding shoot going on. It was like a pre-wedding shoot.
Yeah.
And it was a photo shoot. And I was like, I saw, like, obviously, with everything's pre-planned with those style of shots, as you would know. I was like, I'm going to follow these guys and just let them set the scenes. Oh, it was so good.
Just steal the scene?
I pretty much, I spoke to him first, and I was like, bro, do you mind me, tagging along? He's an Indonesian guy, and I was, speaking a few words to him. I was like, do you mind me tagging along? He's like, yeah, of course. He's like, come. I was like, I can be the videographer mucking around. So I started shooting some video along the way, and they were setting up the sickest scenes. Obviously, they knew the compositions of the place. People were waiting for them because they had the full setup. There's about 3 in the team. Then he pulled out a smoke machine. It was like a mosquito. It was a mosquito machine, but he had just natural scent smoke in there. So he was setting up the smoke machines. And I was like, here we go. Because I was waiting for the certain light and there's mist with waterfalls to get the rays, And you got to wait till about 10 o'clock for the sun to come up.
Mm-hmm.
It's all timing. So I was like, I'm going to go with these guys. So I started shooting with them, and some of the scenes that came out of that shoot was so insane. Like the rays coming in certain areas, then they would do a jungle shoot in these green, real green spaces. And I was in my element then. I was just it was about an hour and a half. I was just following them around like a kid.
Where was this in Bali?
It was called Tukad Waterfall. Tukad Sipang or something.
Do you know
like
that, Denny? Tukad? Tukad Japul?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's about an hour. It's about an hour away from here. Hour ride. Anyways, what's for me? Because I ride pretty fast. So I followed them around, and I was loving it. Obviously, killing the shots, just all personal stuff, just personal shots. Yep. But I also had an idea. I was just because they were all photo guys. There was 3 photo guys with them. I was like, there's no video being done here. I was like, let's just collect the video, and maybe down the track I can, get their contact details and reach out to them and say, do you want a video? Anyways, the shots were amazing. The whole morning was amazing. I loved it. I was on such a high after it. Got home. Ended up making a video on Insta, just my own video, just showing the waterfall with the couple, which was pretty nice. Then I did plan on reaching out to him because I got his Instagram, the photographers, and asking for their contact details later on. But she somehow found me. She wasn't following me, but she somehow found me from that video, I think, because one of the I'm an ambassador for one of the Trip Scout accounts, which is Bali, Indonesia Explores.
Oh, okay.
So they reposted it on there, so she might have seen it on there. Anyway, she reached out to me. She was like, I love you. I'd love for you to make...
I love you.
Not love you. I'd love for you to make a video for us for our wedding. We can play out of the content that you got. And I was just like, boom. I was like, I had that.
This was the bride, or this was
This
the
is the
photographer?
bride. This is the bride. Yeah. So she reached out and she was like, I was like, I can imagine the shoot would have been quite expensive because it was quite a big setup. She was like, yeah, it really smashed some of our budget. So I was like, I'll look after you. It's all right. I was like what I got out of it was amazing. Obviously, I got to shoot all these scenes, and the production side of things, the pre-production side of things, I guess, is out of the way now. I was like, that's a cost gone. So I was like, I'll just charge you. I was like, depending on what you want, I'll just charge you like a friend's rate that I'll charge back home. And she was like, oh, that's so amazing. So I'm in the process of making that video for her now.
But that was just the post-ceremony or pre-ceremony, or?
It was like a because she wasn't in a wedding dress. It was like a white dress, but it wasn't a wedding dress. And
so she didn't have a video of her wedding, but she had video of...
Just of it's like an adventure
scene
shoot. Real sceney shoot. Yeah. Which the photographer, he does amazing shots too. So I was like, yeah, perfect. I was like, I didn't even have to hustle for that one. But like, that's my mindset when it comes to the business side of things. I always trying to think along those lines where I can make some money, I guess, out of it. And especially now because I'm fully going into that world now of freelance and turning it into business. You got to think like that, rather than just sit on it. So I sat on it for a week or two, but she got reached out to me. So I was very fortunate there.
Yeah, well, you got to make these opportunities, right? If they can only say no if you ask, and you got one more when they actually came to you and asked for it. So
exactly right.
I think there's a lesson in that for everyone.
Yeah, for sure.
Not just network. People use networking, and it's kind of a bland term. I think it's putting the effort in to be nice, be respectful, and just put yourself out there for rejection.
I think that still comes down to networking though. Like I'm pretty big on networking. And that's like just exactly what you're saying though. Like I'm always willing to meet people. I'm always nice to people.
Yeah.
And when it comes to like, I'm pretty big on culture too. So the culture here means a lot to me. So with the local people here, I'm always trying to I literally hang out with all local people. I'll stop at shops and just hang out with them, speak with them. They're like, give me a cigarette. I don't even smoke. I was like, all right, I'll have a cigarette. But like people, that's a big thing. I think that's a big thing just as a person. And I think it shows not only in your work, it just people can see that, like see what kind of person you are, like face to face too, which helps in business, You can hide behind a screen, have insane work, but if you're not a personable person, they're not going to want to work and be with you.
100%.
So,
and I think that's we were talking to Jonas on a previous podcast about just skills that you learn as a young person. Yeah. Whether it's in formal, structured education or just in life experiences and social skills. Yeah. People see photographers as like an individual pursuit, and especially now when you can spend. If you really wanted to, you could do it all by yourself, and you could do it all behind a screen. But you're not going to be necessarily that successful. You're not necessarily going to be renowned, and you're not going to make a difference. Yeah, really. I mean, you might with if you put out certain educational content, maybe, or something like that. But if you're going to make life a little bit easier for yourself in terms of the business side of it, I totally agree. Like it's 100% agree. Having those approachable, personal, social skills.
It's part of your product, really.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's your brand. It's your brand. That's who you are as a photographer. You're selling your brand. Yeah, and even when you set up a business, so I'm just doing my flies up. When you set up a business and you have a business as a brand, it's still you. Yeah. And still you represent that brand. That's and brand, if anything, you're more responsible than you were just by yourself. So yeah, I think that's a really, really, really good lesson to, and even if it doesn't come natural to you, you could be an introvert, right? But a super nice, respectful guy, but find it difficult to kind of break that ice or approach people, approach strangers. But it depends how much you want it, right? You just gonna have to do it at the end of the day, if or not, and then you may miss out on things. Yeah. You may miss out on opportunities, but I think it's an important skill to try and learn, and you can learn it.
No, you just got to go with it, and it just comes. If it comes, it comes. If it doesn't,
what's the worst that's going to happen?
Exactly right. I've always said to myself, if you want something, if anyone, not just myself, if anyone wants something bad enough, you can get it. You can get it if you work for it, Yeah. And that's what it comes down to. It's just like, yes, it's hard work or whatever, but like it's all mindset too,
You got to be willing to want it. You got to be willing to put in the work, and things usually align and come together. You know.
Talk to me about Bali. I mean, we've all moved here for similar reasons, I guess. I mean, there are clear, pros with this place. Certainly as an expat. Why or how do you foresee yourself kind of integrating? I know you're learning the language. Is it a place you think you're going to be here for 10, 20 years, or do you think it's going to be a couple of years, get your business kind of set up and then see where it goes?
No, I plan. It's always been in my scope for the last probably 5 to 6 years.
Yeah, it was either Thailand or Bali.
Yeah, that's right. Living in Asia, or Southeast Asia. So it was always been a big plan of mine. So now being here, well, COVID happened, nearly lost 3 years out of that. I was like, that really sealed the deal for me. So I was like, I got to get out of here and I got to go now and just to go for it, and really like step into that world. So being in Bali, I see myself, I have no date. I see myself being here indefinitely. It's not a 1 or 2 year thing. Yes, my like KITAS, which is the visa, that's every 2 years because it's an investor visa, which you set up a company and obviously plan to work with companies here or plan to work on ground. So that's every 2 years I have to renew that, which is sweet. Allocated money towards that, which is business expenses, setting it up. And I was also like when I mapped out back home, I was like, okay, I'm going to put X amount of money towards that. And I was like, if I got close to it and I got close to that total that I put away, if I got close to it, I'll maybe pull the pin if work wasn't rolling enough. But so far, like the potential already, I see it working. So being here has been a great move so far, but I just need to get all the legalities out of the way, visas, before I can actually start working here.
He's not legal at the moment.
Yeah.
It's important, obviously. I mean, they're pretty strict on it here. But what is it about Bali that you love? I know Southeast Asia is kind of a big place there, but Thailand, we're not there, so let's talk about Bali. What is it here that is good for your business and good for photography and good for what you want to do, but also kind of on the personal side of things? Why Bali? Why do you love it?
As I said earlier, I said my network was a big thing here. And there's a saying, your network is your net worth. And it's always resonated with me because I'm such a big networker. So first and foremost, it was the network. I was like, right. I know a lot of people here and I've been coming here for years. So the network was I guess that was a comfort rather than just going in completely blind coming over here. But the country, obviously, amazing and beautiful. You still have that, especially in Canggu, you have the Western element, which is very Westernized. You can still feel, you can have that taste of being Western in Canggu especially, but then you can also get out to the villages and stuff like that. But I think the scenes here, yes, is great for my like personal portfolio, but the people, for any country, I guess the people make the country for me.
Yeah.
The people are so beautiful. That's why I have so much time for them. I'm also, trying to learn their language. I love speaking to them. They're always smiling, And these people have a lot less than a lot of Western people here. And it's free to smile, and they're always smiling. They're always nice people.
It is. It blows my mind every day how nice the people here are.
Yeah.
And that is just there's no substitute for that, I don't think.
Exactly right.
It
makes you feel alive.
It really does, and it puts a smile on your face. Like
absolutely,
you can just. I had my hair cut yesterday, and the guy was just one of the nicest guys I've ever met. The guy that cut my hair, and he's teaching me some words I didn't know, and just a connection for 20 minutes. It's like you don't get that in many other countries.
That's right. Yeah.
I couldn't name maybe somewhere like India or something, but most of the Western world, like.
Yeah,
really
you just don't get it.
To you.
You don't get it. Yeah,
no, you just don't get
and
it.
I was just done. I was done with Western living. Like Sydney is an amazing place. Yes, they call it the lucky country, and that's what they call it. Yeah.
Why?
I have no idea why.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's beautiful, but for me, at like this stage of my life, it's beautiful but boring. I just wasn't. I didn't feel fulfilled. I was, everyone's working at 9 to 5, or they got to have a white picket fence by a certain age, and I was always against that, having to have all these things by a certain deadline. So I was like, that doesn't mean anything for me. Like when I'm traveling, yes, I want to have my own place and I can build my own place, yes, and I will have it all. But like traveling has always just made me feel so alive. So being overseas, I've lived overseas before, but lived in London, so that was Western. I lived in Thailand for a short stint years ago, and I just felt so good. So naturally, I wanted to be somewhere in Southeast Asia. So the network was good here. I love the people here. The people make this place amazing, and just the scenes in itself. When you want to shoot travel stuff, adventure, I feel so happy when I'm adventuring. So that's why I chose Bali.
Tell us about starting a new business, which is not officially off the ground yet due to just waiting for your visas and stuff.
Yeah.
How, and I think we've kind of answered this already, but I want to kind of dive a bit deeper into it. How are you going to market that business? And your network is clearly such a huge marketing tool.
Yeah.
To basically say, hey, I've got my new production business, to come and see it. Is that network is finite though, right? Or is that, how do you see kind of the marketing tools that are at photographers or creators' hands these days with social media, other platforms that people can use, word of mouth, normal advertising campaigns, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, so I haven't got anything solid at the moment, but I planned, obviously you touched on network. Network is the first point, then using my portfolio to win the work over, because I've been offered a lot of stuff already, but I can't take it on because visa situation.
Yep.
So the network is really playing a huge part at the moment, but beyond that, I plan to website first, build the website, then having a virtual assistant for outreach, using that website and using my website to outreach to companies here.
Right. Okay.
That would be my first. I guess that's what I would be looking at beyond the networking side of things, is outreaching, because I've never done outreaching for my personal brand ever. I've always been approached, but I really want to dive into networking, and probably lastly ads. I'm not too hung up on creating, it depends. It depends on money flow too, because I feel like, yes, we'll do ads down the track, but I don't want to be outlaying until I have a steady flow of cash rolling in. So I think outreach for me first, then, and using word of mouth and network. That is the start of the business plan anyway.
I think word of mouth and networking is probably the most, even though it can be seen as finite, I think it's the most effective form of marketing with the most longevity, right?
Yeah.
Because you can build up a network who will be there with you probably forever.
Yeah.
As long as you provide good content and
of course.
a decent bloke, right? Whereas ads are very kind of fickle and
yeah, that's right.
and it's kind of quick buck time. Not to say that
they're not cheap. But they do work.
Not cheap. They do work.
They do work.
I'm sure I'll see you on Instagram ads at some point. Another one.
I'll be doing a spin at a waterfall.
Hide.
Exactly.
Not interested in this.
Yeah.
What are your goals? Do you have specific goals? You talked about a map, and I think we're going to get to that in a minute. It's really interesting. You kind of mapped your future out, or where you want to get to with it. What does that look like? I mean,
well, the map was just like to give me a bit more confidence leaving the country. So I was just like, it wasn't necessarily a business plan map. It was like, okay, potentials, people I can potentially work for. I got mates over here that are in property, which we launch a big property online property business soon here, which I will be part of too. Which I guess I'm way out of my depth of that, but not just the content creation side. He wants me to help with rounding up marketers and influencers I call them. Hate that word, but yeah. So like just things like that were popping up before I left. So I was just writing those down just to see what I could touch on if, like, I guess, you know, going to that gym and that fell through. It's just like, you're not giving up now. Next step. So I just jotted down in point form potential things I can do and what I can do. But business plan wise, I haven't mapped that out yet. But I've also, with my business back home, like, even in the construction side and the freelance photography side, I've also been very chill with it. I've just let I guess I've been very fortunate too. I've just let the content has done its work, you know, and I've gotten away with that. But now when you turn it into business, you need a bit more of a strategy. Yes, I get that. But I just want to feel it out. Once we launch, feel it out and see how we go. Because you might not need to go down those avenues of, okay, I need Facebook market ads, I need Instagram ads, all that. I might need to not do that. I might have too much work on board. But then see how that flows. And if that's going good and if it's quite regular to have a team rolling doing it, then I would look at a business plan of, you know, scaling. How can we scale from here?
So you don't have specific goals right now of the business?
No.
Okay, you're just gonna see how it.
Yeah, I just want to feel it out, like get it going, launch it, have all the right visas and whatnot.
It's not that expensive to set up a business here. I can't remember. We did it a couple of years ago, but I can't remember.
It wasn't. Well, if you compare it to a Western country, it's not at all.
Yeah.
So the one I'm setting up at the moment is an investor visa, which is an offshore visa. Company visa, I believe, which I got recommended from the gym that I've been going to, their visa agent. And
as a photographer or media company?
It's as a media company.
Okay.
So it's not like, I was looking at ones where you could just be a freelance. And she was like, oh, that's not available now and everyone wants to do this one. I was like, sweet, I want a company anyway. So it ended up costing about, because I didn't have an actual office, or an actual residence, which your name was on the lease. That's what you can call an office. So there was a couple other added extras in there, but all up it cost me around 4,000 Australian dollars, which is about 40 million here, I think. 40 million rupiah.
Yes.
So really not that bad for a 2-year visa, like considering.
And when that's just a setup, it's not going to cost you that again to renew in 2 years.
Yeah, that's right. It'll be cheaper then.
Yeah.
So that was just a setup, but I was just like, I'm happy with that. Like obviously I put money aside for that stuff. So, and it gets you 2 years. So that outlay wasn't that bad. And obviously when it comes down to photography and videography, you got your gear already. So there's no real other outlays beyond that. There is a monthly fee, I believe, where you got to let the visa agent know when you're working or like what months you're working, and you just tell them specifically, which is like 1 million, which is like $100 a month. But like obviously you get a job that's just going to cover it. Yeah. It's well covered.
Yeah.
So they're just ongoing little fees, but that's okay. You know, I'm happy with all that.
But you're doing this project for your friend's gym at the moment, right?
Mm.
And so what kind of project is that? You know, I'd love to hear kind of your workflow of the video side of things. And, you know, I guess they want reels and short form content.
So everything's reels at the moment.
So do you break up those reels into like little chapters or little kind of parts of the gym, or are you just doing like full?
I've got full creative control with it. So I can do whatever I want. So I just go in there, I can shoot whatever days I want. So at the moment it's purely contrast. Just I get like food, I get the cafe, I get to use the cafe for free, and I get to I get a membership out of it too. Like it's quite a fancy CrossFit gym. It's like one of the nicest ones in the world, by the way. It's called Bamboo Fitness. So it's an amazing facility, amazing people. So when it comes to content, they might have some ideas around the cafe, because the cafe is its own entity too. So you got the gym, it's all together, but they want to keep it separate as like that's the cafe and that's the gym. So they might have stuff they need for the cafe, which might be video stuff of, you know, people dining, making coffee.
Yeah.
I get on well with all the like local staff there. They love it. So making videos for those guys, food stuff, which is good because I can do it, but having full creative control of it, it's fun. It's just like you take like gorgeous plates of food, take them around, you know, place them in shadows of the nice aesthetic of the gym and like just get creative with it, and they love it. So the cafe side of things like that. Then when it comes to the gym side, it's just I just go for it. I'll choose whatever days. I might be in there 1 day a week or whatever. I might shoot 3 classes. Then I make content out of that, and being reels. Like I used to DJ years ago, so I love the idea of reels because I'm like a DJ when I'm editing. I got my headphones on, like getting into it, you know, cutting up music too. So it's really fun. It's really fun for me. So.
And in a gym, which is your kind of...
And a gym too, yeah. Which is another massive passion. So it's just combining shitloads of passion.
And is it on a kind of like a retainer type deal where there's no end date to it? Or is there like a... Because you talk like you just going in when you want to go in and...
Well, once I get my correct visa, that's when I can charge them then.
Got it.
So that's coming soon.
But do they have a limit? Do they have a... Like, okay, we want 20 reels.
Oh, yes. They just want two reels a week. As a minimum, well, that's all they want.
Until further notice.
Until further notice, yeah.
Okay.
Which is sweet for me because like,
great.
Which is great. You can pump those out, and I get to shoot it, and I love doing all that. And then when it comes to photo, they only wanted like 15 photos, but photos so easy for me now because like I'm just run and gun doing it all in a like they're not set up scenes, so I'm just running around the gym, shooting photos, shooting video. I just pump out photos for them. Like they initially got, I think, a local photographer when they were opening just to shoot one of the classes, which they could use for their socials. And yeah, they got him and whatever, I don't know how much it costs, but like they got 50 photos out of him or something like that, 50 finished photos. But the first week I was there, I probably gave him about 60, 70 photos. I gave him a shitload of videos. And they was just like, what the hell? I was like, this one I love doing that.
Generous.
Like, yeah. I was like, that's one thing is like when it comes to a client, even though this one's not a paying one at the moment, they will be, and they will be very soon. Even though it's not a paying client, I always over-deliver in the product, you know, which always keeps them happy and keeps the relationship healthy. So that's one thing I always stick by too. And it's easy to... Not so much in video, easy to over-deliver because there's a lot more work in there. But with photos, you can always filter out more photos because you shoot so many photos. And they'll be like, oh, I only want 20 photos. Okay, you can have 50. Then it's like, oh, sweet. You know, that's always a good thing to do, I guess, in business is, you know, a top-end product, but always over-deliver.
How does the gym fit into your life in terms of balancing that with photography and your business, because they're quite different fields? And I know you're really passionate about training and going to the gym and obviously doing it competitively, or at least used to doing it competitively. Why is the gym such a big part of it? I mean, obviously we all want to be healthy and we want to work out, but it's a
lifestyle for me. It's a lifestyle that, like, the high you get from that is every day just from training just makes you so happy, you know. Obviously being fit and healthy, looking good is a bonus, but just it's my lifestyle. And that's, to be honest, that if I wasn't doing that, I don't think everything else would thrive. You know, like I'm much more active, I can get around. And like this style of training too really pushes you mentally. So it's just like when something gets tough or if you get really busy, it's just like, sweet, let's go, you know, I can get it done. So when it comes to like work and stuff, I always... Back home, I would train in the afternoon. So a lot of the work would be daytime stuff. Then I'd train in the afternoon into the evening. Then after that would be admin stuff. So that I just make it work. And I do make it work depending on how much is on my schedule. I make it work around the training. But now that I'm over here, everything's flexible for me. So it's just like I don't have to be on a building site at 7, do that, then get home and start, you know, then train, then get home and start doing, you know, emails or reaching out to brands or start editing. So my day was more stacked in Australia, but I feel like even though I have a lot more like flexibility with my time here, and I feel like I am doing less because I'm not doing that construction side of things too. So I'm doing less in the day. The days are flying even faster here. It's weird. I don't know if it's the weather, you know, because there's no real seasons here. It's always, you're happier. You know, you always time flies when you're having fun. Yeah. So I'm definitely having fun, and obviously the business hasn't launched now, so I don't know what that world's going to look like at the moment.
Could
but
go crazy and just be...
Yeah, it could be crazy. It could be still chill and I could still work around it. But obviously it'll be a one-man shop for a while until it picks up, then till I can bring people on board. But at the moment it works well. It's just like I'll train in the morning.
What do you do when you're on the road? Do you find a gym anywhere, or, you know, body weight stuff? Or
it depends it depends. When I travel, because I'm so drilled with routine, and routine comes down to my training, doing my work, doing what I got to do, eating right. I'm so drilled with that. When I go away, I just drop it all. I don't train. So
okay.
I don't train because I'm so good with it all for 90% of my life. So if I had that EDC trip, which is a 2-week trip to Vegas and whatever, I'll drink. Like when we have our downtime, I won't train. I just completely cut it off.
Because you trust yourself when you get back home. It's
Yeah.
Just be straight
I'm an all or nothing guy.
Yeah.
I'm all or nothing. That's where anything I put anything I go towards, I'll go hard at. And just like the Bahasa lessons, the Bahasa Indonesia, it's just like, yes, I'm going to go hard at it. And I want, within a few months to 6 months, I want to be speaking just fluently. So all or nothing for me. I don't like just dabbling in a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Would that form part of kind of advice? I'm thinking like some message or at least tips and tricks that we can impart on, I don't know, people who are watching this, or beginner photographers or beginner or novices that want to get into that production or media production that you do. Is there anything that comes to mind, like hard lessons that you've learned, or big stuff that you've remembered that you've kind of taken into the profession?
I think if you're just getting into it, is like staying true, finding your, not only your niche, finding your style. Like, I guess video edit, like you can have a certain way of filming cinematic stuff. You can have a certain way of shooting photography, but finding your style and sticking to it. That's what I did at the start with photo. I stuck to my moody style. A lot of old school photographers would be like, oh, what is that? Blah, blah, blah. But that's what I liked. I wasn't doing a certain style for someone else. So I guess like finding your style that you really like, and not trying to mimic others or doing it just because that's, better on Instagram or that's going to get more likes or whatever. So finding your style, sticking to it, then just going and going at it and trying to perfect it, because you're always learning. So you can always fine tune things. Now I'm in that video side of things. When it comes to editing, it's just like, it's never ending for me. It's just like, yes, I've got my style of filming the shots, but then yes, I've got my style of producing the edits too. But that, when it comes to editing, that's just, that is literally never ending, because there's just so many different elements within editing that you can go, and your style can possibly change. My shooting style hasn't changed, but your editing style will definitely change, I think, in video, because you'll learn more. You'll learn more, tricks of transitions, or, just so many things, color grading, so. I think with the photo side of things, finding your niche is a great thing. Your niche and your style, and sticking to your style, and going for it.
It's good to hear. Staying true to yourself for what you certainly believe in as your style. It's interesting because some people will talk about, I guess, not following the trend, but seeing what works and then basically trying to do that. And then other people will, I'm probably one of those guys that thinks, you won't get up every morning and want to do it unless it's something you believe in, that you want to do, that you stay true to yourself, that you feel is like a natural form of output. I always say, like, and if it doesn't reach millions of people, it doesn't reach millions of people. You can leverage that in other ways. It doesn't have to be about getting 1 million views on fucking Instagram or something. Like, it's great. I'm not putting that down at all. But if you can do that, amazing, do it. And if it's what you believe in and what you want to do as your style and your technique and your artistic vision. Brilliant. Like, you've won the lottery, really,
Yeah.
because other people like it, you love it, you're good at it, they think you're good at it, and it's popular, fucking do it.
Yeah.
But it's not the be all and end all.
That's right, yeah. And I think even like with social media at the moment, obviously the reels get a lot of hate from, I guess, maybe old school, well, just photographers really, obviously, because they're not in that video world. So they just like, obviously that's a trend now, but I don't think it's a trend that's going to disappear. And that's why I pivoted, you know, that's why I moved to video. Like, I enjoy it. Yes, I absolutely love it. But for me, it's just like, oh, this guy's just going to post reels all the time, but I do video. So it works perfect for me.
Yeah.
And I used to DJ too. So I love the sounds. Everything is working well for me. So, you know, I've had a few people even comment, you know, just from when they saw me shooting at the gym or doing a shoot over here, they could see just the passion, you know, passion is a big thing. And I think, yes, you can be passionate, but I think my passion still runs deep because I had that other job too.
Yeah.
And that's why I never gave it away. It was just like, okay, I can go freelance full time, but I'm not going to go and shoot a baby because I need money. You know, I'm going to do baby portraits because I need money. It was never like that. Everything was always passion projects. But now I'm over here and I can choose what I want to shoot. Setting up a company, the passion's still very high and even higher than before. So
Sweet,
I'm like very, very happy.
Good for you. We're running out of time. We've got one more question for you.
Yep.
And then off air, I'm going to ask you to write down a question for the next photographer guest that's going to be on. No one has to see it, apart from me, obviously. And I'll kind of ask that to the next guest. But one question for you is a bit of a curveball. I like to kind of put people on the spot at the end. Given the choice of anyone in the world, who would you like to sit down and have dinner with?
Oh, Jesus. Does it have to be photography or video?
No. Given the choice of anyone in the world.
Dua Lipa. She's so hot.
That's actually a really good choice. She is weirdly hot. I don't know why she's weirdly hot, but she is.
Yeah, because she's not like overdone.
No,
she's like
quite
girl next
subtle.
door style.
Yeah.
She's
Not
a
too
bad
much
bitch.
makeup,
She's like so
amazing voice, talented.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Dua Lipa.
Dua Lipa. Okay, I thought you were going to say something like really profound and just a pop star. Yeah,
That just popped into my head.
Thanks for joining us, buddy. It's been great
Thank you,
to have
bro.
you.
Appreciate it.
Cheers, mate.